Hi guys, so this tutorial is basically the first of some series that I'm going to try. Main word, going to try, because editing and stuff is just anyways. So what it is that I use to make patterns, I think first I need to give you a backstory about me making patterns. At first I knew the basic of a skirt pattern from doing CXC, clothing and textiles, and then I'm an avid researcher. I guess it's my profession, but I'm also I'm bored. I research things, and what I did is that I watched 1,000,001 different YouTube videos. I watched 1,000,001 things. I used to just take my clothes and use it as a pattern. I did a bunch of crazy things to learn how to make patterns, but always the bodice pattern was always the hardest thing for me. Like I used to feel overwhelmed, like, what do you do about that? And how do you do this? And then I started to get books. And I got a first book, and I was like, oh, I don't really want that. And I went through it, and I was like, I don't like how they do it. And then I found the book. If you want the book, message me. I have a link, don't worry about it. So basically I didn't buy the book. I found it online for free. I wish to purchase it eventually in hard copy, but I'm doing quite good with it on soft copy because I have it on my phone. I have it everywhere on Kindle. So what it is that I do is that I use this book, which gives me the best fit ever for most persons because of how they take the measurements. So what it is I will do, I will put the images of what measurements you need to take for all of the patterns actually, but I'll keep putting it up for each one that I'm going to do for the series. But yeah, so I'm going to upload. Afterwards you're going to see what it is, what measurements you need to take specifically for the bodice pattern, bodice block. And then yeah, so the first thing we're going to do is the back and front for the bodice pattern, and then hopefully we go into skirts. Might be easiest, or sleeve. Still don't like doing sleeves, but yeah, so I'm going to be following this book, just showing it for persons who may be more visual, because even when you're reading the book, I am a reader and for instructions, and I could read instructions and then go do it afterwards, but this book, you read it and you still need to be reading it as you're doing it. So I'm just doing this series for persons who are more visual than I am, whereas I like to read. So yeah, so I hope it's clear. I hope I don't go too fast. You'll message me if you want the book. So yeah.
Okay, so this is the measurements that you're going to need to take. The typical bust, waist, abdomen, hip. This is the diagram showing you where each of them are, so you can go back and look at it. This one is more detailed. I'm not too sure if I can enlarge in this, but you need to see, you take in like a quarter of it. These are the length measurements, so pay attention to the full length, neck, etc. Okay, so this is me making a whole bunch of craziness, but yeah. Right, so you're gonna do the full length. So this is me marking the full length mark of it. You're gonna go square that line from the full length plus 1/8, right? So the full length plus 1/8, and that's going to be your waistline where the end mark is, right? And I'll just show what I was doing right there. And right, so you're gonna mark your bust span measurement plus 3/4 of an inch, right? I am making an extra large, so that is the mark for it. Right, so you're gonna make a bust plus 3/4 inch to give it some ease. Then you're going to go up from the waistline. You're going to go up to the center leg, the front center leg. We're working on the front bodice pattern, so you're gonna square that line plus 1/8 again. So is the center length plus 1/8 from the waistline, right? You can mark that. I guess you could call that the clavicle. I don't mark it really. So you can actually write A, B, etc. I don't, because I don't know what I was writing there. I can't remember now. Right. So now we are going to measure the across shoulder, the front across shoulder. So you're going to mark that's from the top of your full length line. You're going to mark the across shoulder, the front across shoulder, mark it, and you're going to square down that line about 4 inches. Right? About 4 inches. Then you're going to do the shoulder slope. So the shoulder slope, the front shoulder slope amount that you have, you're going to measure from the waistline, the corner of the waistline, from the center front to that line. So it has to meet that line that you just squared down there from across shoulder. You're going to draw it, right? Draw the line, and then you can measure the bust depth. So you're going to know when you take your measurements, when you watch your measurements, you're going to take the bust depth. So you can just measure it and take the bust depth, right? So you'll know where your bust line is, right? For the other people, you know, it's different. If you have no boobs, big boobs, yeah. So you're going to square that line from there because that's your bust line, right? And then you're going to put your bust, sorry, the other one was your, yeah, measurements, right? And now I'm going to put the shoulder. So you're going to mark from that line there, from where you did the shoulder slope, and you're going to match it to the shoulder length. So you're going to take your ruler from that line and measure up to the top of the line, your shoulder length, and then you're going to square that line down to your neck line, like that. Ta-da! Because your shoulders aren't level, it always has a slope, so you can take personal. So this is the new strap measurement that you're going to take. There's the measurement that you're going to use. Sorry, I forgot to tell you all to square up the waistline about 11 inches. So you're going to do that there, and then you're going to take your ruler and you are going to, from the top of the neckline, from the shoulder, you're going to measure in the direction of that line from the waistline that you just drew, that side line, side length. You're going to draw the new, you're going to measure out the new strap. So if my new strap was about 21, so you're going to see where it meets the line. So if it was 19, you will raise it up a bit and let it meet that line. So you're going to mark right there, and then you're going to measure up from there your side length. So your side length is from your waist to your underarm, where it is that your usual jerseys, etc. will end. So you're going to mark that, draw that line, and it doesn't just stop there. Now you're going, so either just do a little square so when you're ready to do the armhole, right? So I'm going to measure out from that point 1 1/4. Right, I'm going to mark it. Then from the same line, I'm going to go out a bit towards that point that I just made from 1 1/4, and I'm going to measure the side length. So it may not reach that same dot, but you want it to go in the direction of that dot, right? So that is your side length. Now I'm going to measure where my dart placement is. I think my dart placement for this one was about 3 7/8 or something like that. So you're going from the center front, you're going to mark that, and you're going to go down from that point about 3/16. I can't remember if I remembered to do that, but that is what you do. Right? And then you're going to measure out your bust point. Right? I think this one was about 5 something. So that is your bust point. That is where your dart is going to be starting from. So right, I measured down 3/16 from that point on the waist. And I'm going to draw from the center front to that 3/16 point. Then I'm going to connect the bust line to that line. Right? You're going to connect that side mark that you get to the rest of the waist. Now you're going to minus. This is it seems very complicated. You know how much to the bust point on your waist it is. So you're going to take that figure and you're going to minus it from your front waist arc. So let's say your front waist arc is 10 and your center front to bust point to dart point is 4. It will be 10 minus 4, which will give you 6, right? So you're going to measure from that side line, from your side, the 6, and you're going to mark the point from there. So you see, that's where I'm going to mark it. So that's going to be the other side of your dart, and you're going to go connect it to your bust points. It seems really complicated, but when you have a custom made something, right, so what I was doing there is measuring the length of that dart leg. I'm making sure that the second dart leg is the same amount. So if you have to go out a bit, you go out and then you just redraw that line that connected it to the side. Mine was okay, right? So now I'm going to find halfway between the a quarter between the waist and the center front, center front length, right? And that is going to be your chest. So you're going to mark your across chest on that line, and you're going to mark it, and then you're going to square up that line. So that is where you're going to try to get your arm curve to pass through, right? So because you know, when you're from your shoulder, you go in a bit to your arm, right? So you just square that line, you draw the line, so it's a guide mark for it. Now because this is a plus size pattern that I'm making, it's a bit more difficult to draw, to connect the arm. So this is me sketching it somehow or the other. Yeah. Sometimes with plus size you have to freehand things and the rulers do not right? So I'm going to word for the wise, when you're going, if you know you're going to make a top that has sleeves, measure your curve one time. So I'm just trying to get this. Yeah, sometimes if you're a really tiny person, etc., that ruler will hit all points and give you this most seamless curve. But this is me getting this eraser, right? So you're going to take your same French ruler and do it from the neck. You're going to connect the neck point and the line at the bottom, and you just use it as a guide. And there you have it. That is your, I don't know what it was, yeah. Oh, I was putting in my grain line. You put in your grain line, you could put in your center front markings, you know, because this, and then you label what it is. Do not, yeah. So that's front pattern, and because I'm making this for, you know, items, I should put that what size it is, right? So this is it. That's your front. That's it. Now it's really easy for me because I have done it multiple times, but as I said, it took me a long time to actually get it. And then I guess I could always do another one where we go through how to do, you know, move around that, right? Slash and or the pivot method. I'm actually liking the pivot method now because that means I don't accidentally tear it. Right, so we're going on to the back. So we take the back full length plus 1/8 and we mark it, and we are going to square that line across. So usually your back length is, full length is a bit shorter, so this is your waistline. You're going to go across your back arc measurement plus 1/4, and then you're going to, right? So I'm just making sure that I have everything straight. I still don't trust the square rulers because, right, this is me marking the center back length. So from the waistline go up, you mark the center back length and you square that line. See, it's much closer to the full length because your neck doesn't have the drop that your front does, right? And then now I'm doing the across shoulder. So you measure from the center back to the across shoulder. No, sorry, this is the back neck. You mark the back neck from the center center thing, right? So let me get it right. You mark from the center back line at the top, so you're marking the back neck. Now I'm marking the across shoulder marking, right? The back across shoulder, you make a mark and you square down that line just like the front one. You square down about 4 inches. Right? That's what I did there. And then now you get the same kind of technique you use for the shoulder slope. You're going to put from the waistline, you're going to measure, tilt your ruler to that line that you just drew. You square down from the across shoulder and you mark where it is. Right? So that is your shoulder slope. That's where you're going to pass your shoulder point. So the back usually has a dot. So from that back neck point, you're going to go towards the direction of that point that you just made and add 1 inch. So you put in your shoulder length plus a ½ inch. Right? So you make it, connect it, and you add this one. It didn't need an extra ½ inch. So it went a little bit past the line. Right? That is still taking for your dot at that thing. Right? So now I'm marking my back arc plus a quarter for ease. You're going to make that mark and you're going to square up that line about 11 inches. Right? This is me just making sure everything is legit. Right. And now we mark a quarter. So you're measuring between the waist and that neck. You're going to measure a quarter of it. Take a quarter of that thing and measure across. That is your across back measurement. So just like the front where we had the across chest, so you know it's indented a bit for your armhole, that is going to be the same. So you're going to measure from that line, that is a quarter of the center front to the waist, center back to the waist. You're going to measure the across back amount. I apologize for the delay. I don't know what I was doing at that point. Probably talking to my mother. Right? So you're going to mark it just like the across chest in the front bodice. You're going to mark it and you are going to square that line up and down. This is me freehanding it. Right. So now I'm measuring up the length, the side length. So you remember the same side line that we used the first time, we're going to use it again to the back because they need to match up. Right, we're going to mark that point. Make sure. And we're just going to give it a little square. Right. Now we are going to put in our back dart. So we're going to measure the dart placement. Let's say it's 4. I can't remember how much it was. It's either 4 3/7. And we're going to make that mark. And then we are going to go out from it 1 1/4. That's just the average you will put for a back dart. And then we are going to add the 1 1/4 to our back waist arc and mark that point on the line. That is not that far. It's actually the same as where I have the line already. If it's not the same as that line, you're going to make that other mark and you're going to draw a new side length line towards it from the point of the one that you drew. That sounds really complicated. Anyways, to to find where the dart ends, you go 1 inch below the side length amount, and then you draw in your dart legs. Don't know why they call it dart legs. Not too sure. This one should be even because it's not tilted as the other one is. Right, and now you draw in your armhole for the armhole to touch where your shoulder length ends, where your across back point is, and where your side length is. This one matched up beautifully. Back is always easier to do. It's always simpler because there's no bust. Right, and then you do the same. Right, you draw a square from the shoulder line to the center front that we drew in, and you turn the French curve that direction, and you draw in the curve for the back neck. So it's turning it the opposite direction to the shoulder line than when you're doing it to the front. And right, I'm doing the dart. So you find the middle point of your shoulder length. Right, this was me realizing that I did not draw the curve properly and actually going out to the shoulder point. Learn to be okay with yourself when you're making mistakes. I tend to laugh now because you tend, sometimes when you do things out of habit, you forget. I don't even know how that makes sense, right? So you find the middle point of the shoulder line, and then it's only a 1/2 inch, so you put the mid of your 1/2 inch by the line, and you're going to mark those 2 points, and then draw a line connecting that midpoint and your dart, so you know the direction in which your dart at your shoulder point is going to go. Don't know, right? So you do it in that direction, and now you just draw the legs towards that point 3 inches down. So the dart for the shoulder is 3 inches down, and the line goes towards the waist dart for the back. And that's it. You mark your center back, you put in your grain line, and that is